partnership with Tony Visconti had separated. Tony and Marc had kind of their friendship had gone thin halfway through the album of Zinc Ally. So Marc had that to finish himself, and he thought that he was able to produce himself. So then he's writing without the influence of the guy that had helped him along so long, which was Tony Visconti. The plot was, was a bit fuzzy.
It was a bad move to relocate to America simply for the fact that he was now in the culture, in Hollywood, in that whole drugs, drink thing.
There was a period when I guess he was doing cocaine and drinking brandy, which he shouldn't have done because that made him put on weight, and that altered his personality slightly. He did become a little bit unbearable for a short period. But it's to be expected, really. All rock stars go through their unbearable phase.
Another thing which I think did have a negative effect on his life was the splitting up of him with his wife June. And June kept Marc sort of on quite a tight leash, really. And that was the thing, Marc and June split up, and he was then a lot more free to eat what he wanted, to take sort of more drugs than June would probably have let him take, and to drink more. Have you ever seen anyone do a low slung boogie? I'm not. Have you ever seen anyone do that zip-gun boogie? I'm not because
with the cocaine cut in, yes, you could be recording all night and you'd end up with a load of rubbish, and we could be the same track over and over.
Later on, he certainly became a very heavy drinker, far too heavy for his own good.
You can do everything you possibly can to try and deter it. I mean, I did with the alcohol, but if they want to drink, they find ways to do it. And the same with coke. It comes from within. You have to have that desire not to do it.
Marc was, I guess, struggling a little bit and didn't quite know which way to go, because at that time, of course, he didn't have Tony Visconti helping him.
He did leave everybody behind. I mean, he dumped Peel, he dumped us, he dumped June in time after she'd served her usefulness. I think he was a very sort of, he dumped Steve, he dumped Tony Visconti. He was a very exploitative person.
The truck-off tour I did with him, which was mostly tracks from the Zinc Ally album, when he was actually playing and doing his wild guitar work, maybe some of the notes were right, maybe some of them weren't, but it didn't really matter. It's like looking at Salvador Dali. Was that correct, that what he painted? It didn't really matter, because what he was doing as a musician, when he played the right or wrong notes, it was the excitement, it was the way that he put it across that was exciting. I don't think that was a weakness.
Live, no, he always gave his all, Marc. He was always bouncing around, full of energy. But the only weak point, I would say, was that the numbers weren't terribly well rehearsed. They'd fall apart maybe at the end. They didn't really think about endings. It was all sustained by the hysteria of the audience, the jamming. It's like a jamming band, really. And if you took away that kind of support, then it could collapse. It could, they didn't really have the reserves of arrangements and songs to sustain like a whole 2-hour concert.
When he was sober, when he was playing, he was very, very powerful, very, very positive, and he knew exactly what he wanted from himself and from other people.
Marc was in his element on stage, because he was coquettish, he teased, he wound them up, he did it with a smile, he did it with his guitar, He did it with his trousers. He did it with his audience.
He did get quite good on the electric guitar. He was getting, he really took off on it, and he could make all the right moves, certainly, and make an exciting rock and roll noise on the lead guitar.
When I was recording at that time with Marc, he would have a song idea and so on, and he would sometimes give us a guide vocal, but then it could possibly change. When he went to this theory, he would probably have half a dozen ideas and a few lyrics written down, but yet the song vocally wouldn't possibly, wasn't always complete. There was like, he'd say, no, it's going to go like, it's going to go like that. He knew basically the arrangement of the songs, but then it could change at any time.
Marc was a sponge. He sort of collected ideas and then sort of evolved them into his own thing. So I think it was a great loss for Marc when Mickey Finn left, or well, really was sacked.
I would say that I don't think Marc noticed he was gone, because at that particular point he was developing other projects, and he was too involved in himself and his desperate need to succeed. So I don't think it was of a great impact to him. I think he just thought, well, that's how that is, that's okay, I'll just keep going.
Actually, that's a bloody good record. It's sort of overlooked a little bit, you know, it wasn't quite as successful, and it sort of shows you sort of where it's beginning to sort of not fall, I hate that word, fall apart. It's just beginning to lose its impetus. It's the actual audience and the band are beginning to struggle with the movement of it all, and it's just having, it's sort of treading water badly now.
These records were far superior work to a lot of what other people were doing, you know. But every painting Picasso did was not the Mona Lisa. In fact, none of them were.
By this time, I was sort of the only Marc Bolan fan that, well, at my school, in my class.